Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of What Are You Going to Do About It? I have one of my sisters on here today, Ife Okwumabua. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm super excited to be on your show. We have a long history in the performing arts, and so I just love watching your progression from actress, and now you are like podcasting, and then also kind of doing just like, what is it? We did like a game show one time, or we interviewed.
Yeah, we tried out for a game show. I wish it worked out because I need some money.
Hear that. But I didn't win that Mega Millions last night. I know that.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting. I'm like, if I can just get enough to pay off my student loans, I'll be good.
Yes.
Yeah. Then I'll be on somebody's beach somewhere. Just
right.
All right. Well, what do you have going on right now?
So, what I have going on right now. So, I work in the world of nonprofits. I really love mission-driven work and the community and just creating awareness or rallying troops around a cause. But I also have my own company called Chiwuzo Productions, and it is a arts management company where either myself, I will either work with an artist or an individual or a nonprofit to kind of project manage or bring forth an idea or a creative idea either to the stage or just it could be in film. And usually the projects have something to do with like mental health and awareness or things that kind of uplift people and change lives. And going back to that mission-driven work, or I produce work or create work myself. So there's a show that I've been working on for the last, I would say 5 or 6 years, called A Song for a Daisy, which is a musical production about a young girl who is coming of age and finds out that she's something bigger than she imagined. She always felt different, and so she self-discovers that she is, this other force of nature, and have had the pleasure of co-writing it with a good friend of ours, another Georgia State alumni, Sonny Williams, and she joined the project and has really contributed as a co-writer and a producer as well. And so then hopefully I have another project I'm working on. It's about Black women, and if I go ahead and finish that, then that'll be something that I can share.
Booked and busy. I love it. Tell people, you by far are the most talented artist I've ever had the pleasure of knowing or working alongside. I said it. I own it. So that's that. Like, I'm just always in awe of your talent. So are you actually performing still, or you're just kind of behind the scenes now?
Right now I'm behind the scenes. I would love, people would ask me like, oh, do you think you'll ever perform again? And I don't know. I kind of feel like, at an older age when I have some time to really enjoy, because I really love acting and I love actors and, but I want to enjoy it. I don't want it to be something like, where I'm starving or like it's something I want to like study and like come back and then be great. I don't have to worry about paying bills. But right now I'm actually in Toronto working on a show called The Black Girl in Love with Herself, a live show. It's a book that 4-time award-winning playwright and author Trey Anthony and comedian, she's like you would compare her to like a Tyler Perry of Toronto. So she had a show, I think like 7 seasons, called The Kink in My Hair, which she like co-wrote.
Okay.
And I think now it's on Amazon Prime. So she Toronto's her place, her city. And so we're doing a show. And so she wrote a book during, I think maybe before the pandemic or during the pandemic, called Black Girl in Love with Herself. And so we're doing a tour where we kind of take that book and we bring it to life. But it's a wonderful, wonderful book and lots of gems about, how as Black women we can identify some of the things that we culturally have been taught that are toxic that we can fix and start loving ourselves. You know, things about relationships or things that maybe our parents or grandmothers taught us, or maybe how we can't work together, or just a lot of different things. But it's told in a very comedic way because Trey is a comedian. So that's what I'm currently doing. So yes.
All right, good deal. That sounds amazing.
And it's coming to Atlanta, August 25th.
Well, definitely send me the details.
Okay.
I'll be sure to put it on our, you know, our advertisement for the show.
Wonderful.
But we're going to get into it. So the show is called "What Are You Going to Do About It?" We asked 3 simple questions. What was the problem? How did you identify it? And what did you do about it? So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can tell us what was your problem, and then how did you get to the point where you recognized that it was a problem?
Yes. So I would say, so first of all, my name is Chiwuzo Ife Okwumabua, but I go by Chi Ife for short, or Ife for short, even shorter. But I just said that to let you know that my father was from Nigeria. He was from Delta State, from a place called Iseleku, and you know, so Nigerian, and my mother actually is from Memphis, Tennessee. So she's a Black American, or she was Black American. And so I grew up in a household that was very like both American, but very much Nigerian. And so anybody knows about Nigerian culture is that, you know, there are certain expectations that you were supposed to hit by certain deadlines, and, you know, and so whereas my mother was kind of like, you know, do what you love and all of that. My dad on the other side was like, study, graduate from college, take life seriously. Okay, you've done enough of this acting thing. It's time for you to like grow up. And so it's kind of being between those two worlds. So I always thought that I was kind of a free spirit because of just the different choices I made with my career. But when my father passed in 2016, the problem that I kind of identified was that I was still kind of living in those two worlds, where very much so, where I was at a 9-to-5, at a nonprofit, you know, working in special events or fundraising, you know, at a healthcare nonprofit, but I still kind of had this, my own company, Chief Productions on the side, but a lot of my hours and energy was going towards my job. And I at that time of his passing, and I love my father, he was a great father, you know, I just realized that a lot of my decisions were rooted in this belief that, you know, your creativity or your creative side isn't valuable, or cannot you a living or money, or it just isn't you're not a doctor, you're not a lawyer, you're not an engineer. So always found myself kind of like, even though, you know, I worked for a theater company, still work for a theater company, I did that for 6 years. It was still very much like arts administration, work for nonprofits. I still kind of work for a nonprofit. I've identified that I've never 100% given myself a chance to just work 100% fearlessly in a creative industry, and believe that, you know, that I can not only just make a living, but that I could be successful in it. And so
hold on, let me stop you, because like I'm listening to you and just knowing the breadth of talent that you have. I mean, you have such a gift. Like I identify a little bit because, you know, teetering that line of corporate America or working for a business, knowing that you have this gift that God gave you that you're supposed to share with the world. Like, it has to be, especially for someone of your caliber, it has to be almost crippling.
It is, and it has been, and you find yourself in spaces where many of the time people at your job will look at you and go, "What are you doing here?" And you can't explain it. I don't know. And most recently, I think I said to the person who said it to me, I said, "It's fear. It's fear, you know, and I'm working on it. And she was like, okay, because you sure talk about a lot of theater stuff and you know, like, what are you doing here? And I honestly feel like too that, you know, you and God are co-authoring this thing called life, right? Because you still have free will. And I feel like, you know, whatever your purpose is, sometimes you go like, well, I don't know what my purpose is, and maybe I'm not operating. I feel like you're always operating in your purpose, but I think you limit God of what he can do in your life by you placing yourself in certain. So for example, I kind of feel like I love organization. I love logistics. I love putting things together. Well, it's okay. Okay, cool. So you can do that, but because you place yourself here, this is exactly where you'll be doing that in this place, instead of you going, you know what, I really want to be over here. Then if you just trusted it more, then you could actually be where you really want to be. And that talent that you had and that purpose can really like actualize, because you're like really doing it. But it's not, but I feel like we're always operating in our purpose. It just looks different because of where you've placed yourself or how you ended up at wherever you are. So I think
so you knew that you were kind of, or you recognized that you were operating in this safety zone, right?
Yes.
So, you know, I'm sure you took your time to mourn and just really sit down and think about things. Like, how did you get to the place where it's like, okay, I have to do something differently, or I have to do something about this?
This is interesting because recently, I hate to talk about death, but that's a big part of life. But my mother transitioned. And so when she transitioned, you know, I always kind of had an excuse. There was always something that was like, well, you know, I could move to LA, but I've got to be here for this person, or, you know, or I you know, because I'm very responsible, or I want to be around family. Maybe they'll need me, or I just started a new job. Everything was like contradicting what I truly wanted to do. So in my mother's transition, and she was always the one that was like, do what you love, baby. Like, it's okay. No, go if they see the world. Like, because that's something that she did. She was a Black American girl from when she met my dad, I think it was like maybe in the 60s or 60s. Yeah. So all the way from Memphis. She was, at that time, she grew up in the, what they call the projects. When I think about her bravery, you know, and then she also kind of dealt with health issues as well. But to have health issues, to be from Memphis, Tennessee in the 60s, Black girl, to marry an African and to move to Africa for 10, 15 years, and to, you know, they were married until, you know, either one of their passing, but that took a lot of bravery, right? You know, and I say to myself, you know, there's no excuse. Like,
right.
If whenever I get into a place of stuckness or fear, I now think of my mom and say, well, you know, she used to tell me, do it if they like, just don't think about it, because she was that person. She was that person who, and I don't know if you've ever been to Nigeria before.
It is on the list, but
it's on the list. And I love my people, but Nigeria is like, it's on a whole nother level. So to go over there as a Black American and live over there, and to even become a nurse over there, is like, you have to, you're a real one, because it is challenge. There's some major challenges. And so I have to continuously, so now it's all about changing my mind frame, changing my mindset. It's thinking about the things, the barriers that I've put inside of my own self to block me from, you know, living out my full potential or living my dream. And it's changing that. And I would say, you know, I'm a big believer in therapy. I know people say, well, you can just go to your pastor, or you can just go to a friend or whatever. And it's like, that's good. And that, you know, there's a lot of people going to friends and people in their church. But I feel like, you know, there's a lot of work in mental health. And I don't see anything wrong with getting a therapist. I don't see anything wrong with working with somebody who's a professional took a lot of unpacking. I mean, I remember the first time, like when I experienced the death of, and I'm sure people realize things when they lose people, but talking to a therapist and me saying, she said, well, how come you have it? I said, well, I don't want to be poor. And she said, well, have you ever thought that, maybe you would be rich?
Right.
Like, no. Like, she was like, yeah, maybe you will be successful at what you love instead of, but I wouldn't even come to that conclusion if I didn't talk through it with someone who wasn't my friend or who didn't know me, who was just hearing my story clearly and being able to pinpoint some of the challenges, some of the belief systems that I created for myself. So I think, identifying the problem is fear is amazing. I mean, fear will, stop you from just, getting up out of bed or just moving. And it's all mental. And I think if you don't realize that, and fear shows up in a lot of different ways, and you don't even realize that that's what it is until you really do the work to sit down and identify it. But people have to do the work. I tell people like that, with life, when you're a child, you don't have so many responsibilities, but as you get older, there are things that are being thrown at you. And if you don't, you're living, and some people become mothers and wives and they're developing new problems. And if you're not aware of what's happening around you, I say that it's like being buried alive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Before you know it, you're 100% buried with all of this stuff, and you can't digging your way out. It's going to be way more of a challenge if you would have maybe had the tools like a shovel, and when someone is throwing stuff, you just throw it back out and get yourself out of a situation. So my thing is, you have to be aware. You got to have the tools so you're not like buried alive.
So would you say also that, like you said, it was kind of like a tug of war between being half Nigerian and half American? Would you say that is also what kind of instilled that fear as far as the industry and their standards of beauty and representation and all that? Did that also play into some of your hesitation around really pursuing it?
What's interesting? Well, you know what? Let me be honest, because I was in a rap group at one point, and I remember when I was in that rap group, even though I was talented and people would tell me that I was talented, there was always this fear about what if I didn't look a certain way, or do I look quote unquote ethnic or African? It really wasn't I didn't really think about the dark skin thing too much, but it was just like features, you know what I'm saying? And when you look at the industry and people don't look like you, I think now we're in a way better place. But I think, I did kind of feel a little bit that way. And I think that kind of put some insecurities inside of me that could have stopped me from maybe progressing with that particular venture. Was like, are they going to, if we become big and famous, are people going to really tear me down or rip me down because I don't look like Beyonce or whoever else, is the beauty standard, So I think that, but I always kind of saw myself too, but as an actress, because there were so many strong role models like Angela Bassett and Alfred Woodard and Regina Kings, I don't think I felt that way with acting. The music industry, definitely yes, but with acting, I always felt like I could do it. Okay. Now, I remember I did this one competition. No. I did a really bad audition one time, and it really kind of got me. And I think that also probably created some fear too. It wasn't a look. It was for something I would have gotten, fit right in. But it's that whole if you're a big fish in a little pond, but then you go out into a big pond, and they're like, you need to come with a little harder than that. I think the transition from being a young performer to an adult performer was challenging, because you can get away with a lot of things in your teens as an artist, right, or in your 20s, but when you're competing on an adult level, there's certain things that there's certain standards that folks expect you to be. And so I think I had maybe one or two bad auditions that also created some sort of fear that maybe I wasn't good enough, maybe the things that you told me, weren't true, that created doubt. And I think I held on to that. And that's probably what also kind of kept me at a 9 to 5, like this was safe,
Yeah, I think when you have those bad auditions, like you said, it does instill some fear in you, no matter how gifted or talented you are. And it's funny because like the logical part of you is like, okay, everybody has a bad day at work. So why should I internalize that and let those be the defining moments, for who I am and what it is I'm supposed to accomplish? So I know that you're still working behind the scenes. Are you also still studying? Like, do you still do acting classes or writing workshops and those types of things?
So, no, I'm going to, like I said, ease kind of my way back into acting. But what I'm really interested in doing now, as far as like studying, is more for like writing and producing, because like I said, I love talent, and I love seeing great work on stage. So if it's not me, if it's not myself, then I want to create those opportunities for other actresses and actors who don't get a chance to play certain roles. Like it always makes me feel happy, like with A Song for a Daisy, that was something that when I first initially thought about it, it incorporates like West African like spirituality, but it also kind of has an Afrofuturism feel to it. And there's a Black astronaut and a deity. And so talking to some of the cast members, they go, wow, man, never thought I would play this particular type of role, and so it's creating those opportunities for actors and actresses. So I do a lot of like training in that area for now.
Okay. Well, you told us about the project that you're working on right now. Do you want to tell us anything else that you have coming up?
Yes. So Black Girl in Love Tour comes to Atlanta August 5th at the Riverside Epicenter. Also, the show that I'm working on, A Song for a Daisy, it'll be at the Atlanta Musical Theater Festival. I believe it's the first week of September. So I'll have an advert for that pretty soon. Just those two projects for now.
I'm waiting for you to work on the project that basically shows us your life, and being stuck between two worlds. I'm so intrigued by that. I would love to see one on stage or on the big screen. So I'm dropping that gem.
Okay, cool. All right. And Miss Lanita, I know we'll do some more work together.
Yes, I remember, again, one thing about you is you'll always find a way. And I remember it's been, oh my gosh, 14 years ago when you were just like, listen, we don't have a space. Why don't we create our own space where we can just act and critique each other and give each other feedback. And just that entrepreneurial spirit. I've always admired and appreciated as your peer and friend and sister. So, all right. Well, anything else you want to leave people with?
Just, I just can't stress, doing the work and taking the time, giving yourself time and rest, honoring yourself. What does your self-care routine look like? Just doing the work to figure out you. And then before, it's the whole put the mask on your face before you can help others. I feel like in that, it helps to identify any type of issues or problems or challenges you're facing, because you definitely, you deserve it. And life is short. We are here. I feel like to uplift and encourage each other. We're here to make it easier. There's so many children and, being born every day that they're just entering the world right now. And it's like, those are the things that we should keep in mind. You know, sometimes we get caught up in the fame and the celebrity of a thing, or the money. And it's like, none of those things you can take with you. But what you can do, you know, is make an impact on someone's life, you know, beyond yours. So that's the biggest thing I like to, you know, kind of leave with.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Like I said,
okay.
Your gifts, your talent, like I'm in awe. And I'm also in awe of the way that you continue to reinvent yourself and, you know, insert your talents and gifts into various things. So I appreciate you for sharing that with us, sharing it with the world. You are truly walking out what God put you on this planet to do.
Thank you.
Keep walking in that.
Okay. Will do. Thank you. And thank you so much. I'm totally honored for being on your platform, and wish you success with this. And I look forward to promoting it as well.
Thank you so much.
And we're gonna do the acting project together, Lena. It's not done. It's finished. Okay. All right. Okay.
It's never too late. Even though I'm getting old, but whatever.
You don't look old.
Well,
that's what. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining. Thank you guys for watching. Remember, you know, there are different paths to figuring out what exactly you're supposed to do. So if you're ever in a jam and you're just trying to figure out, ask yourself, what am I going to do about this, and do it. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ife. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, you too.